Well, hello there, YouTubers. This is Jared again. I'm doing an update on my G0602 lathe. This is sort of just a basic update, review. After I've been sort of doing like a little bit of a shakedown type of thing, and I run it a little bit, and I've been putting some oil in it, and I come to expect that, but the fit and finish on this is really abhorrible. It kind of is. I think the machine will be a really good machine. I think that the ways and everything are really good, but honestly, I've almost gone through a complete teardown of everything because there's so much gritty. It's not just the Cosmoline or whatever it's called that's put on everything. I mean, I did a little test run because what I actually had to do, let me find it, because I did this. Obviously, you can see I pulled my spindle out of here. I thought the gears would be good because I found so much grinding dust. I pulled the whole tailstock apart, and yeah, I had to put a rag completely in there. So I think the machine is manufactured fairly decently, but talk about a nasty, filthy environment that they assembled this thing in. And I did have. This is my little test run because I needed to make a tool to get the, what do you call them, the spider nuts off there. So I had this is a four-wheel drive axle nut tool, and it barely didn't fit. So I actually was trying out some of my tooling. As I was going through my just test run breakdown thing, and then I was using the ball oilers, flooding the thing out, and nothing but if you can see here, this blackish gritty. I mean, it's shiny, it's metal stuff. I mean, you can't say I'm an experienced person. You can't do nothing wrong with it. They've assembled it with grease, and then plus I oiled it before doing this. So this isn't my doing. This is the assembly, because that kind of crap is like everywhere. I mean, I've actually, we'll post along with this a picture thing or something like that. I mean, I pulled everything apart, and it's just the nasty, filthy environment that they assembled this together with. I thought, the tailstock being all packaged together as assembling would be different, but yeah, see both sides. Let me get it to focus so you can kind of see. And I took the gears off. I didn't put. There's no point because the motors probably comes in as a whole package, so I'm not going to bother with that. The seal bearings and that. But yeah, I was running it, trying to do the break-in procedure with that in it. Yeah, that's no way. So yeah, but these are the little spider nuts right here. If you actually just have an extra for like a half ton, I don't know if the 3/4 tons are a little bit different. I haven't really torn into a whole lot of 3/4, 1 ton front ends. They probably could be, or maybe not. But I did have a basic 4-wheel drive thing, and it barely the inside diameter. So I just put it in the truck as I was running it anyways, because there wasn't really anything I could do about it. So yeah, if you see that, I just took these little pegs, nipples, whatever. Yeah, I just took a little bit off, about half off the inside diameter. And it probably still worked, but not like it's that big of a deal. It was like about the easiest tool to make. I was doing a little bit of a test run just while I was running it. Had everything else in running purposes, so I just chucked it up in there and got some tooling, and that's 12 millimeter, which is about the same as 1/2 inch, and it says it's supposed to be able to take 1/2 inch tooling. But 12, about 12.4 is 12.2. I don't know. It's like 12 point something that is equal to 1/2 inch. I got this tooling off of eBay because it was a little kit. It had, a number of these. I mean, I've got like a parting tool, a threading tool, a facing tool. So it was all those. And they're 12 millimeter. And I figured just a slight amount off, but, what I ended up having to do, let me rotate this here, and I just put a little piece of another piece of, just a little piece of metal, whatever, just some little tidbits, some broken off, cut off pieces that I just found to fit to where it was about halfway. So, you know, you can see where they about match up and stuff. And actually it didn't do too bad. But yeah, this thing was really tight. And I still haven't been able to get this off of there. I tried to put something in here, and I soaked it down with some WD-40, and I thought maybe if you got a little bit of heat into it, running with the warmed up after it run for a while. So what I'm going to do is build some sort of a spanner wrench. I might have just showed it in a little bit of a video, but this, my little homemade spanner wrench, and that's for my G0702 mill. So it goes around that right there, and that matches up with it. So I just turn it this way, and just do that. So I'm just going to probably build something like this, a little bit bigger, to go around here, because this one's obviously too small. But I'll just probably build some sort of a thing like that, just bend a piece of metal around or some sort of a thing like that. This has 3 holes, so I don't know if I'm going to maybe do like 2 of them to line it up so it kind of clamps on. Because, yeah, I put like an Allen wrench in this one way, and I was cranking on the sucker pretty thing and was dang near pulling my shoulder out and stuff. So that thing is like really seized on there, and I've heard some other people talk about that too. They have a real bad time taking that off of there, because I wanted to pull this all apart and clean it. I should probably do the gearbox. You know, that oil, now it's starting to change color a little bit. After I've run it, you know, through like a couple 10-minute cycles, you know, going through the different gear ratios, following to break that in, and I'm just starting that all over. I'm gonna pull this bearing off of here. We need to, you know, press that off of there. The other one comes off when you tap it out this way, but. You know, this is some of that oily, splattery stuff right from these gears and stuff. That's not a big deal. But yeah, it's just that really gritty, grinding. I mean, I could tolerate it on here. I'd already pulled those off of there. But that type of stuff and those bearings, yeah, I expected, yeah, fine. They'd fit and finish it, and they're lapping the carriage. Apron, whatever, carriage apron, whatever, this whole thing. You know, because I actually have had all of this pulled off. This was in here. This had paint under this dial, and so it wasn't even sitting on here, so it would kind of wobble around like this. When I got it all cleaned up, scratched that paint out of it, cleaned it up, lubricated it. I mean, I pulled the lead screw off and everything. You know, I tapped out the roll pin there. I think this one's supposed to be the shear pin. That looks like brass in there, like a little piece of brass rod, and then that's a roll pin. So I think this is supposed to shear off in case you get into a situation so it doesn't damage something else. But I tapped that out, and so I don't know. This thing is like jammed up in here. I don't think I kind of just blew that out and everything and sprayed some WD-40 around there, because I had this all pulled off of here, but that stupid little ball oiler is stuck. It won't pop up to keep stuff out, and I've tried to wiggle it around or whatever, so I don't know what's going on with that spring or something. But yeah, I seen somebody else when they did their unboxing, and they've got all this stuff in here, which I don't know if this is. Let me focus it here. I do apologize. I'm just a real big amateur. I'm just trying to share my experience for people who are looking at this. And, you know, I did have I've been a mechanic, and I've done a number of other things, and I'm trying to do other design stuff. So I'm trying to get into other things that are more capable for my my physical ailments to handle. You know, I can't climbing over and pulling engines. I'm not so much doing that stuff anymore. But I don't know if that's part of some sort of tape or stuff. There's all sorts of other little things. I really don't know what it is. It looks like tinsel. It looks sort of like tinsel, but I don't know if it was some sort of a tape stuff. But this, as I mentioned, this thing did have oil in it. But I pulled the drain thing out, and it looked like real clear oil. As you can see, that's starting to get a little bit dingy after I've done a couple 10-minute cycles. So that's probably, it probably is full of grinding dust too. And I really don't know how hard this thing's going to be to pull apart here. And I don't know if I really want to go that far with it, with this thing. I mean, I maybe I should. I am trying to. I bought it cheap as I could find, the biggest, best lathe that I could find for, you know, the cost. I got a 4-jaw chuck, the extra things, and so this Chinese lathe package is just a little bit better than the next one. But, you know, the ways look really good. This machine looks straight. It comes out with that. It's just, and I really have a whole lot of complaints. I mean, I did mention some of my other complaints on there that you have, you know, your dials. Well, I mean, I guess it does here. It has 0.25 millimeter and 0.01 thousandths. So 0.025 millimeter for each little notch is the same as 0.001. But, you know, you got like, it's mostly set up for Imperial SAE cutting or whatever, measurements and stuff, but it's got like metric bolts in it, and it's just this halfway type of stuff. It's a different complaint. But I really don't even care about that. I can go down in a local hardware store and get metric bolts. That's not the huge deal, you know. But it's just the fitment. This grinding dust, you know. I'm sort of I'm a selective person when it comes to my obsessive compulsive and yeah, that kind of stuff. With the bearings, it's kind of the main thing. I mean, even here, I don't even care so much about these gears. It's just, this is the main thing that you don't want to, you know, I want to taper bearings. And that was one of the reasons why I got a bigger machine, because they all have these tapered bearings instead of those other roller bearings, you know, that a lot of people are changing them out on like the 7x14 mills, or lathes, excuse me, they're a little bit smaller. But, you know, I like the big bulkiness of this machine. You know, I would have still gone a little bit bigger if I could afford it. I would have gone up with like the 12x36 if I could have, but that was like twice the price of this. So, you know, the other thing of it is I'd just be spending more money to get a variable frequency or a DRO. And for my purposes right now, I am not worried about all that. I was just trying to get the biggest amount of lathe and the best package, and I went with Grizzly on this. I don't know if any of the other companies are a bit different, but I mean, this is like complaint grade type of, yeah. I mean, I'm happy with the number of other things, and I'm doing some stuff to make sure it's going to be a good lathe and everything, and I think it'll last for quite a number of years, but the fitment with the grinding dust, I'm like, my obsessive compulsive trigger's just gone off, you know what I mean? Yeah, because I mean, I pulled this out, and all these, there was like, underneath of here in this tailstock, there's like these 2 set screws, and I don't know if there's like some sort of little plate, but I could not get that out. I mean, it's on the very back thing, and I got everything cleaned out. I mean, I had a rag tucked all the way in here. I mean, the barrel here, well, I'll include, I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to do one of those little picture montage type of videos, but, you know, it doesn't look too bad, the fitment on this, but there's this little slot screw that keeps it from rotating this way, this barrel thing. It was the MT3 taper, but this is just so it's like kind of a hollow thing, and it's got a thread part in the back, and so this is just like a thread shank that this bolts onto here, so it pulls it in and back. But there's like I think it's called a bushing. I was trying to look in the manual, and then so it's clamped in this way so that this doesn't pull out this way and that way. And so this thread stock, which is I think is a left-handed thread, and it goes into this. But right up on here, there's this slot, and it looked like it had at one point some sort of black paint, but it was all really crusty and rusted and some of that stuff in there. So I pulled all that out, and so, I mean, it was gritty right in here and up in here, so I got that all cleaned out. I pulled everything apart, and if you do get one of these mills or something similar, I would really do a bit of due diligence, you know. I'm not professing to be an expert machinist, you know. I think I'm a fairly knowledgeable person. You know, I'm doing some machining things. I'm learning the ropes on that a bit, and I've been doing some stuff and to increase my knowledge base. But I mean, I understand this part of it. So if you do get one of these machines, probably any of them, I mean anything that's probably manufactured out of China, you know, they just shoot under the pricing a little bit maybe, and this is what you kind of have to put up with. I mean, if that's what you can afford, if you're in situations like me, that's what you have to do. I was gonna show about how I've already taken this apart, but I thought I was gonna have to do this. I mean, if you're not really familiar with these belts and stuff, I thought I was going to have to loosen this up and lift up the motor, and I don't want to, because those bolts that are on the bottom of the motor are like ridiculous to get to. I mean, I thought I'm going to have to probably use some sort of a special ratchet thing and you know, U-joint adapter stuff, but I didn't have to do it. I mean, those belts that they give you are a little bit flexible, but this belt, the first belt, you actually have two belts that comes with the system here. You have a longer one, and I don't know if they're metric wise, but when I was actually looking in the manual, it was like 27 and 33.5 inches, or one was like 27.5, the other one was 32.5, or I don't know, something like that. It actually had inch measurements in the length of the belts. But the longer belt, the shorter belt goes to B and C, because what's installed was this longer belt. And this belt is fairly flexible, and so where's my other pull here? I don't want it to fall off of there. Let me see if I think it goes on here this way. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with some of these belts, you know, I don't know who's got experience with what. They might be, you know, hobby machinist people that are getting, you know, lathes out there, but you know, it's part of this belt. I mean, it's really tight in there like that. I mean, when you're I had to pull this up and really push it off and roll it like this to get it to jump off, and it worked. That's what I did. You don't have to do it, and that's only when you're going from. This is A, B, and C pulleys. So I'm talking about when it goes A to C. You don't have to use, this is not even used when it was on A to C. I mean, because, well, actually I haven't even done them all yet. I've only did this on the test run, but I don't know how it fits with all the rest of them. I'm sure it's probably going to be about the same. You really have to pry each one of them off of there. I'm actually considering getting just a little bit longer belt and seeing if I can use this tensioner. You know, get a slightly longer belt so I got a little bit more slop, and then use this tensioner, you know, like a blower belt on a supercharger or something, how they got those things. Because that's what you do with this one, is something like that when you're doing it with this. I think the book shows it this way, but I had issues with it, so I was still going with this. But you need to be careful, because, you know, this, when you're trying to adjust it, this does get it a little bit close to this. So, but anyways, I was just doing a little bit of an update, just kind of, I was trying to do some shakedown runs, doing a little bit of, I'm really doing a lot of cleanup, because, yeah, I mean, it's not like I've got like this type of stuff all over, and I'm working on that. I'm trying to get through my projects, but it's part of a new thing, because all that stuff's not so much in there, but every once in a while when I do a big cleanup, I get all that cleaned off there and make sure that stuff's not in my ways, because I don't want that stuff in there grinding and making the machine, you know, have problems and not as accurate and stuff like that. So I'm going to get back to work on this. But I was just giving an update, kind of my opinion on that. I mean, do I think it's a good machine? Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty good machine. Especially compared to, because I've tried to do some stuff with this machine here. See, I have a lathe chuck here. I've got an R8 adapter thing. I don't know if you're a machinist, you've been around the block and you know what kind of tooling's out there. So, see that thing? That's where that lathe chuck mounts onto there. And that goes up into this machine, and I can use that lathe chuck. And it don't do real good on here. So yeah, this machine here, actually using a lathe for lathe work was yeah, when I did this, when I put that in here to do this, oh, it was a dream compared to doing that. I had to just give up work trying to use a mill as a lathe and trying to do all the adjustments and everything and the stability. It was really difficult to do. It might not have been a bad, but I would try to cut that hardened steel stuff. Anyways, got any other questions? You want to see some other sections of the pictures or whatever? I'll request that, and I'll maybe get something on here, or if you got any other questions here. I mean, these were been a little bit tough to move around and stuff, but I think they're starting to loosen up. You know, get a little bit more free movement and stuff in there. And but yeah, I mean, I pulled this off. I pulled those half nuts apart. I mean, I'm trying to familiarize myself with this machine as well. As part of what I'm actually trying to do with this machine, but also with that kind of stuff, with all the little gritty stuff, I wanted that just completely cleaned out. So, questions, comments, I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of doing this for my own purposes, because I'm just testing out the whole thing with the YouTube videos. You can like and do all that type of stuff if you'd like, or, you know, comments, or, you know, questions, or requests or something like that. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day.